Hey, Coach Tom Ferry here. Happy Friday. Welcome to Life by Design, your place online for ideas, inspiration, and how to stay in action. Well, in action. Do you have some clients right now that aren't in action, that are stuck maybe in their head, questioning the market, questioning post what happened with, the tax incentives? What do we do now? Should we make the decision? Or worse, we're in escrow or trying to buy a short sale and it's been taking 30, 60, 90 days and they just get frustrated and stuck. Now, the same thing could apply, by the way, to a seller who maybe is tired of receiving lowball offers or, disappointed with the fact that they thought their home was worth this and it's actually worth that. You know what I'm talking about. Customers out there today are in their head, and you and I both know your head is a scary place to be. So the question is, what questions can we ask to get them out of their head and back into action? Do you have a customer that needs to get out of their head and back into action? If that's the case, I want you to consider, there's 3 questions I want you to ask. Number 1, what's the worst case scenario? Now, context specific. Let's take a buyer, for example, that's frustrated by the fact they've written multiple offers and have been unable to get a home, or they're sitting in a pending state trying to buy a short sale. So they're waiting. The problem is they're in their head and they only go to the worst case scenario. But you and I both know as salespeople, as people of influence, we've got to allow them to get all that worst case scenario out. So we ask them, what's the worst case scenario? And they say, well, it could be this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Now, that's the easy one because that's where people naturally go anyway. That's why they're stuck. It's your job as a powerful influencer to ask the second question to get them out of the worst case scenario and back to a state of neutrality, and that is by asking number 2, what's the most likely scenario? What's the most likely scenario? I mean, if you guys overpay by $25,000, I've got the worst case scenario. You feel like you're tight on your budget and you might have to spend a few more dollars every single month. What's the most likely scenario? And they say, well, the most likely scenarios will be okay and we'll figure it out and it'll be uncomfortable a little bit and then we'll make some sacrifices and we'll be fine. So we've got them from worst case drama, stuck, not doing anything, to now a state of neutrality. What's the most likely scenario? Then we ask number 3 to get them into action. And that question is, so what's the best case scenario? What's the best case scenario if you move forward, buy this house? And then they say, well, God, we finally have a home. I mean, we're finally in. We can finally start our life and all the things that they want to do. Those 3 questions are really powerful, and they're designed to understand that people are in the worst case scenario. That's where they're stuck. That's why they're not, taking action. That's why they're afraid to move forward. Then we get into a state of neutrality. What's the most likely scenario? Out of the dark, into sort of a neutral state. And then what's the best case scenario? That takes them over the top, gets them rethinking about what they really want to accomplish, and ultimately move forward powerfully. Use those 3 questions, and they can be used in any sales or negotiation context to help somebody get a price reduction, to help somebody accept an offer perhaps that they didn't want to accept, to help them work through buying a property or getting off the fence and taking action. If you have customers that are in their head, and again, we both know, scary place to be, if that's going on, use those 3 questions to get them out of that and into action. Use those and let's have some fun, let's make a difference, and let's make some sales. Happy Friday. Remember always, your strategy matters, your passion rules.